Good morning, Africa. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, Akwa Ibom State. Of course, it's a Friday morning and it's a good day to be alive. In Akwa Ibom, we will greet you with hello, happy Friday. Welcome to Rise and Shine. My name is Uyai Aniekan.
And I am Frank Sizadet, glad to be here today, and it's a beautiful morning to rise and shine.
Oh, but let's just be honest. Rising and shining this morning was quite difficult because of the rain. The showers that started at about 5 a.m. this morning, it was difficult to get up. How did you survive?
Well, yours started around 5 a.m., mine started around 3.
Oh,
and I was
no.
awake. I was awake at 3, had to sleep back. I woke up at 4. And I just couldn't sleep back again. So it was beautiful, exceptionally cold. And some of us had to find comfort within, underneath a duvet.
That's your special problem. But then it's a really good day to be alive. Of course, we are here on Rise and Shine to talk about several things happening in the country. And yes, several trending stories, several breaking stories. Some are continuing, and that is what we are here to do with you on Rise and Shine. Of course, we would like to encourage you to be a part of the growing community. So like, share, comment across all the social media platforms, all of which you can find at spectrumtv.ng. Our phone lines will be opened up later on the program. Please feel free to call us, send us text or WhatsApp messages, and make your contributions on the show this morning. So very good morning once again to you. Big stories happening, big things happening. Francis, what's on your mind? What's like the biggest issue that has popped up that is of concern to you, even if it's like a flash news?
Well, a lot is happening across the streets of Nigeria, on social media and the mainstream media. A lot happening, but one particular story that is currently trending and has gathered a lot of interest happens to be the proposed or the alleged meeting of the CJN and the President-elect Ahmed Bola Tinubu far away outside the shores of Nigeria. And part of the questions Nigerians are asking, if indeed the President-elect traveled out of Nigeria for medical reasons or for whatever reasons is being put forward, why were Nigerians not told before he's traveling out? Why did the team of the President-elect waited or had to wait until there was another purported video and messages alleging of his planned meeting or his meeting with the CJN outside the shores of Nigeria before the organization now came out to say, you know what, he's stepping out of Nigeria for XYZ reasons. This has gathered a lot of interest on the social media, particularly, Twitter is buzzing right now. And you can't help but ask certain questions when it comes to the health status of the president-elect. Recall just before the election, he had to travel out of Nigeria, and his campaign organization had to be the ones answering the questions and filling in the void. I recall seeing a particular interview of a woman representative in Lagos fielding questions. He said her principal had to leave the shores of Nigeria for medical reasons. And it gathered a lot of interest then. And shortly just after the election, he secretly left the shores of Nigeria again. And then this time around, we're still told for obvious reasons. And now Nigerians are of the opinion that this was just one of the reasons Nigerians didn't want an Ahmed Bola Tinubu as at the time of the campaigning due to the different scenarios that played out and the question raised by Atiku Abubakar bordering on his health status and his ability to be able to run, because Nigerians were of the opinion that at this point in time we needed a president who will be able to run around 24/7 and not break down. And even if he has to, probably that would come with the time, and then that would be within the time frame that medical experts, Nigerians and right-thinking people would know, okay, if as a president you've been doing this for this period of time, your body needs rest. You're a man after all, not one who would just within a few days after being announced as president-elect, we are beginning to see medical tourism already. And now if you had to put that side by side with the promise of revamping the Nigerian system, with the promise of investing in the health sector, the education sector, and then you ask, is this really going to be a promise that the president-elect will be able to do? I mean, what happens to starting the leadership role by giving us example? You needed to go to the hospital, then you stay in the hospital in Nigeria.
No, but in his defense, a lot of people would say, oh, there was the lag from campaigns completed and then the election process. You'd wonder, okay, But then, this is an excuse that people are going to make. I mean, he came back after you remember he traveled just after one set of his campaigns, came back and then campaigned again before the elections. So people are like, okay, it's gotten to him and all of that. But is this really a viable excuse in terms of, if you remember very clearly, during his campaigns, his health was one of the primary things that Nigerians continued to draw at. But I think a matter of serious concern is, quote and unquote, a secret meeting between the president-elect and the CJN, that's the Chief Justice of Nigeria, at a time where we are looking at the fact that several political parties are moving for election tribunals, and you're going to expect that the Supreme Court of Nigeria, which is presided over by the CJN, right, will be the ones looking into all of these tribunals coming. Why then are we having a secret meeting with the president-elect and the CJN? That already goes to ask a lot of questions. First of all, remember that one of the concerns that Nigerians have had so far is in continuing to ask, although between the PDP and the Labour Party, they are saying, we have a mandate that was stolen. Do we have a judicial system that can actually, return that stolen mandate if, proven, that way in court? But now, having the CJN and Bola Ahmed Tinubu meet outside the shores of this country already starts to push a question mark into that particular, thoughts by Nigerians. It's easy for us to quickly say, oh, the meeting was, for anything outside the tribunals that are coming. But that is a difficult explanation for you to also make, to Nigerians. It would have been easier if we do not even see any kinds of meeting whatsoever holding between, the people that Nigerians are going to run to and the president-elect. It just raises a lot of dust at this time.
Well, at this point, it's still an alleged meeting.
Yeah.
Nobody can verify for a fact that this meeting actually took place. But if it did, behind closed doors, under whatever circumstances, it is completely wrong. And that is the part that Nigerians are coming from. And if you look at the post made by Ahmed Dati, that's the Labour Party vice presidential candidate, alleging of this scenario playing out far away from the shores of Nigeria, one of the biggest questions that Nigerians have asked is, you're showing us a picture of Ariwola on a wheelchair, but there is no picture of him and the president-elect together in a meeting. That's question number one. So there is no pictorial evidence at this point. There is no video evidence at this point given to us by Dati about the secret meeting or the purported secret meeting. So that remains containable then. But then another question that Nigerians are asking is, Justice Ariwola, throw out his appointment and then his swearing in, throw out the last couple of months that he's occupied that office, nobody in Nigeria has been briefed about his inability to stand or he's having any health challenges. So all of a sudden, a man that has been known to be on his feet, up and standing 24/7, is found on a wheelchair. And the question is our CJN not physically fit to become or to stay in office as Nigeria's CJN?
Well, that's a really big question that you are asking. But then we could say that people develop health issues on and off without a big announcement. Especially if you look at the CJN's picture, Ariwola, of course he's advanced in age, so you could say, oh, maybe something suddenly happened and then he had to be outside the country and something necessitated his being on a wheelchair. But like you said, all of these allegations, Nigerians will always jump on things, but it's easy for, I think I will take a cue from Professor Nena Oti's opening speech yesterday. This is more like an open warning to the system and the powers that be. If this is an allegation, let it rest as an allegation. If it's not an allegation, this and these are the kinds of rebuttals you're going to get from Nigerians if this kind of meeting holds, at this time where we are seeing different parties that, got engaged in the elections, even presidential and gubernatorial for that matter, because we are going to see gubernatorial tribunal drive straight up to the Supreme Court. So we don't want any kinds of interferences where we can now say, oh, our judicial system is not, independent of the runnings of the lead people in our country. We do not need that kind of conversation at this time. It's quite a risky one. So it's safe to say, if we say it's an allegation, let it rest there and let the alarms that Nigerians have already, started raising on behalf of Dati Baba Ahmed, who is the vice presidential candidate for the Labour Party. It's better it's rest that way. But then when we take it back to Dati Ahmed Baba, I would like to say that the Labour Party has had a representation of themselves of not attempting to mudsling or raise allegations against other political parties. Now will not be a good time to intermeddle with such things. What will I call it? The way they have been perceived in society will also further help their case in court. So if they stay on a clean path, not trying to intermeddle, let them not play politics like other parties have played, in all of this time, right? So don't make allegations that can be tied to your person or to your party anyhow, or else it just becomes what we see all around in the polity of our country.
Well, that is another temptation, but I like to come from the standpoint that before that he came out to make that statement, he probably must have evidence. And if he's not showing us evidence now, maybe he's keeping it for the later. But regardless, as it stands, it is still an allegation that has no substantial evidence to prove, apart from the pictures, apart from the message. And Gazette newspaper took the story up, and I've written a serious lengthy piece on it, on how the CJN left the shores of Nigeria, and how the President-elect Ahmed Bola Tinubu left the shores of Nigeria, and about the purported meeting. But all of this is yet to show Nigerians video pictorial evidence of these persons. And when I'm talking about pictorial evidence or video evidence, I'm not talking about doctored pictures. Yeah. Okay, I'm talking about real life pictures, because Nigerians are able to spot those differences. So what some Nigerians on Twitter and across social media platforms are asking is, yes, we know there's a likelihood of this meeting actually happening, judging from previous antecedents or things that have really happened in this country. There is the likelihood of that meeting holding place. But if you're telling us this meeting has actually taken place, give us proof. Give us the evidence that this meeting has taken place, and then we will side with you. But again, if this meeting has taken place, it will be another biggest slap on the judiciary.
Exactly.
The INEC, as the electoral umpire, is already under serious crisis. The international community have made their stance known. They've called out INEC openly. Prove to us that the result you used to announce Ahmed Bola Tinubu is authentic, is what Nigerians said it is. And that INEC has not even responded to that yet. And Nigerians are still waiting to hear the INEC umpire, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, come out to say, you know what, this is exactly how it is. And until Nigerians see that, it's still going to be a big question on the integrity of the electoral umpire. And if we have to also trace the antecedents of Peter Obi and his court cases and victories, you would definitely know that this is one man who doesn't take a case to court without having his facts right. So if he's taking a step and he's taking a stand, you therefore know that Peter Obi is not joking. And if we have to put that side by side with Festus Keyamu's tantrums on Facebook, on social media, then you'll also understand that probably they understand that these people are serious. These people have valid evidence. They have proof. They have facts. They have the figures. They have the data to prove their case. So if you had said, the first thing President Muhammadu Buhari said and the president-elect said after the election results were announced was, if you have an issue with it, go to court.
Yeah.
So this guy said, okay, no problem. We are going to court. And they've gone to court. So why is the APC family, why is Festus Keyamu now threatening with a petition for the arrest of Peter Obi?
Okay, that's the next news, flash news we are just coming into. We'll just rest the allegations with regards to the meeting between CJN and the president-elect. It's an allegation so far. There are no confirmations. But like we always say, developing stories will always come out of certain things. We'll know for sure, did this happen or did this not happen? But the big thing is, if this happened or if someone is conceiving this to happen, it is going to raise a really big question on the judicial integrity of our jury system in the country. But then again, we see the likes of Festus Keyamo pushing that the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Gregory Obi, should be arrested for making insightful statements. That is something that he has come out to say, and you trust that the reactions are not something you even want to bat your eyes about. And we are wondering, just like I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and I was saying, to a very large extent, Festus Keyamo used to be a respectable person and a respectable name, but in the recent election cycle, we've seen him, hinge on several controversies and just, give words as unexpected from a person of his what would we call it now? I mean, we call our lawyers learned persons, but he's been in the news for all kinds of controversies of recent, and now he's pushing for the arrest of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. Francis, that's a major trial there.
Okay, so Dr. Jeffrey Gotaman on Twitter describes the petition of Festus Keyamo as, let me take directly from his Twitter. He says, your petition is complete nonsense and you are a complete, I won't take the other word because it is against the rule, but Peter Obi and Dati Baba Ahmed have been telling only the truth. I look forward to the discovery process to address your claims. Now, this is in response to a petition that Festus Keyamo, senior advocate of Nigeria, posted on his Twitter page about 15 hours ago. And he said, earlier today, I submitted a petition to the Department of State Services, DSS, against Mr. Peter Obi and Dati Ahmed to rein them in for their conduct and utterances which border on incitement and treasonable character. Now, incitement, treasonable character. I'm sitting down, I'm reading the petition over and over again. I'm trying to put that side by side with a statement made by His Excellency Peter Obi over time as far as this election is concerned. And like you rightly stated, throughout the course of the campaigning period, Peter Obi happens to be one candidate who stood and focused on issues. We saw the tantrums being thrown on each other between the PDP presidential candidate Elijah Atiku Abubakar and the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu. These two were always at loggerheads with each other. They were always talking about one being a thief, the other not being medically fit, and all of that. But not for once have I heard, I stand corrected though, that Peter Obi left the issues to tell Nigerians how he's going to address that issue to actually attacking personalities. The only thing that was very predominant apart from his campaigning for issues was the issue of oil theft, where he categorically told Nigerians that stealing of oil cannot happen without collaboration from the highest positions of power in Nigeria. And even that has not been debunked by the powers that be in this country. So if nobody has gone after Peter Obi for making such claims, and then Keyamo is coming to tell us he's filing a petition, it's a big question. First, why are you filing a petition?
Yeah.
You're talking about incitement. Let's go down memory lane. In recent weeks, just prior to the gubernatorial elections, there have been a lot of chronicling on the social media, particularly in Lagos State. There have been a catalog of persons and individuals in Lagos State, from the president-elect to MC Olomo and the rest of persons, with video evidence and picture evidence of what they have said that can be tamed as hate speech, what they have said that can be said as indictment on the public. And these persons have not been called in for questions.
Exactly.
They have not been arrested. Nothing has been done. So if you're talking about hate speech, if anything in this country is to be categorized as hate speech, then it should be the statement made by MC Olomo and the resultant effect that happens to not just the Igbos in Lagos State, but every other person, including the Yorubas who refuse to vote for the APC government.
This is quite worrisome because, like we've continued to see in the past week, there's been a lot of people who made statements and went away with it. Nothing happened to them, so to speak. You've cited a very clear example of MC Oluomo, who came out vehemently and said certain things to incite an ethnic unrest, but then we saw the fact that it played out just as he had said. But we are seeing the likes of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party who necessarily, like he said, we stand to be corrected. You cannot necessarily draw anything that Peter Obi has said that is insightful. He would just ask questions that are necessary to, the system. And now we are having the likes of Festus Keyamo petition the DSS, to demand Peter Obi's arrest. it's some of these moves are just uncalled for. Like you insinuated the other time, sometimes you just look into your opposition party and it looks like these people, they have the right of way if they get to court, or they can be able to gather, you know, enough evidences for their case, and you're just trying to, you know, throw a snag into the way. So but then we've seen the Minister of State for and Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, who's petition the Department of State Services, DSS, demanding
Apologize for that glitch. And of course, this is Rise and Shine coming to you live on Spectrum Television. And we're beaming live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. And yes, it's a good day to rise and shine. And we're talking about the trending stories and happenings in Nigeria as far as the political scene is concerned. And Festus KMO has gotten Nigerians talking significantly. And, you know, apart from the Faces KMO story, and then if you have to link that with the purported meeting of the CJN and Ahmed Bulletin with the president-elect, there is a very big question that the Nigerian judiciary would have to answer. And I expect that the CJN would come out to tell Nigerians exactly why he is on a wheelchair at this critical point in time. Because we have never seen a CJN on the wheelchair. We've never seen him having difficulty to work. As a matter of fact, just after his swearing in, Nigerians were saying we have the most agile CJN, regardless of his age. So why are we saying that all of a sudden? Yes, nobody has control of these challenges, the health challenges that comes with age and all of those. But as a public figure, you owe it to Nigerians to brief Nigerians on things as they happen, not wait for Nigerians to begin to make speculations, not make for people to see and begin to draw their own conclusions before you now come up. If it gets later than this, it's going to be seen as an aftermath decision that is probably some kind of public image remedies strategy.
Exactly. And then, you know, just staying on the alleged incitement as raised by Festus Keyamo against the Labour Party presidential candidate. I think we have some tweets that we're going to take now, but we've seen him petition the DSS to arrest Peter Obi of the Labour Party. Now his accusations are that Mr. Peter Obi has been involved in making insightful statements and treasonable actions. And just before, you know, we had that break, we were saying what kinds of insightful statements and treasonable actions will be more than the kinds that Akin Sayan, now MC Oluomo, made in Lagos State some days before the gubernatorial elections, of which Nigerians saw those threats actually play out. What more treasonable action against ethnic groups in Nigeria could have been heard from someone who, you know, more like was an unsolicited spokesperson for the APC in Lagos State. But then we did not see the likes of Festus Keyamo, you know, quickly push for the arrest of MC Oluomo. We even had the Nigeria Police Force defend, you know, MC Oluomo, saying it was just a joke. And then you are seeing someone who just wants to pursue his political career, you know, represents a bracket of Nigerians that think he's the person that they want, and then you're pushing for treasonable activities and insightful statements. We are not just we are not transparent people in our dealings in politics in this country. And then the interpretations that we have given to power in this country is just funny, because how do you live chasing the most important things to chase irrelevant things and just to heat up the polity of our country? Of course, this is you know, a sample of the letter he had written to the DSS petition against Mr. Peter Obi and Dati Baba Ahmed for making incendiary comments and claims capable of causing an insurrection or rebellion against government of Nigeria and the duly elected president-elect. Of course, that's the header there for that particular story. We have tweets now. We can take the tweet for this particular conversation so that we can lay it to rest. Of course, you expect that Nigerians are going to absolutely react. So this is Smart Wheel, and he says, when a greedy person is at lost, he looks for ways to defend himself. Oga Festus, you don't fear to court. If the whole world is against you, forget you have to bring yourself down. Don't be too faster than your shadow. What if Obi had won and the election was not rigged? Okay, that's Smart Wheel there. A reaction by Nigerian there.
And Owodegu Peter says that your petition is laughable and unnecessary distraction to the issues at hand. In the past, when Festus Keyamo was the man of the people, haba, but now I am afraid what will become of such flimsy petition.
Exactly. It just surprises me. He used to be a man of the people. All right, let's take another tweet. Omotoyo C says, of course, laughing out loud, but who be this man self? I they always see him tweet everywhere. I've been a Nigerian, they handle the account, you know. Well, so some very laughable responses there to the things that we are seeing here.
And of course, a response to Jeffrey Gotterman said, please monitor our criminal politicians for us. Due to our Peter Obi petition, many will be coming to old meetings on how to influence the judiciary. Do not hesitate to expose them to us. Now, that is an appeal from a Nigerian. And Peter Obi, prayer warrior, says, Minister Keyamo, even cases that are contracted
that you are contracted for.
Okay, that you are contracted for with money are lost by you, let alone a petition built on lies and falsehood.
I think this is the last tweet that we are going to take. Omo D. Okay, this one says, you are crossing your boundary. Those two gentlemen should be respected. Okay, what's beneath there? You ask them to go to court and they obediently. That's the thing, because they didn't even bother to worry you. You know, they want their followers. Let's go to court. That's the instruction that we've been given. So what is Festus Keyamo really up about? You mean they shouldn't talk? You compared Nigerian election with the USA. Has Donald Trump not been talking and accusing Biden of rigging? You know, that's basically a very it's a heated up conversation.
It's a direct statement.
It's a direct statement.
Even as it stands, Donald Trump and President Joe Biden are still at it. So have we ever heard President Joe Biden coming out to lay claims that, oh, Donald Trump doesn't have the right to speak his mind?
You understand.
Of course, it doesn't happen like that. So there's freedom of speech in Nigeria. There's freedom of expression. These are constitutional rights. It would have been a different thing if we saw Peter Obi saying, you know what, my people take to the street, let's protest.
It would have been a different
conversation.
But even at that, let's know that within the constitution of our country, protests are lawful.
Peaceful protests.
Yes, peaceful protests are lawful. So it's not just like, even if they're, I mean, PDP, under the leadership of their appointsman, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, you know, peacefully protested before the INEC office. So we're just saying what insightful and what treasonable activities have this duo gone on. I'll take this very last tweet because I mean this person just asked a big question. Omodi said, I still don't know how he became a son. It baffles me. This is somebody's father, somebody's husband, and why will you be doing these kinds of things because of money? He is after part of those. He's a part of those destroying Nigeria, and they will never succeed. The unity of Nigeria is very, very important at this time. But these are trending stories and strong conversations that are currently happening around the country. We have Festus Keyamo San pushing the petitioning the DSS to arrest the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, and his vice presidential candidate. But at this point, we're going to put a pause to the conversation that we've brought so far and move to the news brief desk where we have Mary Joseph on standby to bring us tidbits of global news. And when we return, there's still more conversations to be brought to you on the floor of Rise and Shine, so do stay with us.
Heads of state and government, Secretary General, delegates.
This was the Lagos Nigerian for Spectrum TV to recover 40 lives in Still counting.
From Uyo, I am Mary Joseph. We begin the news brief this morning with the Central Bank of Nigeria as it has begun the disbursement of old Naira notes to deposit money banks as government authorities stepped up efforts to end the biting currency scarcity that has inflicted pain on millions of bank customers nationwide. Recall that the central bank has directed DMBs to pick old 1,000 Naira, 500 Naira and 200 Naira notes at its offices across the country for onward disbursement to customers following a meeting between the Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele and bank chief executive officers. Meanwhile, determined to control attacks on schools across the country, the Commandant General CG Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Ahmed Aldi, has assured that its operatives will continue to provide the needed security for schools to enhance a safe teaching and learning environment. In a statement signed by the Corps spokesperson Olusola Odumosi, the CG gave the assurance at a one-day stakeholders workshop organized by the Corps on the ensuring school security for sustainable national development held in Abuja. Meanwhile, the Defense Headquarters has said that no fewer than 201 kidnapped Nigerians were rescued by troops, while 1,506 terrorists surrendered to the military during various operations in the last 2 weeks. The Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Musa Damadami, disclosed this in Abuja while briefing journalists on the activities of the military between March 9 and March 23. Reports say the abductees were rescued during clearance operations conducted on terrorist hideouts in different locations in Borno and Kaduna states. We head now to the foreign scene where the United States President Joe Biden has arrived in Canada, where he would meet Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and address Parliament, with reports that a deal has been struck on managing undocumented migration across the neighboring long borders. Reports say trade, Canada's anemic defense spending and a potential international force to stabilize troubled Haiti are expected to be on the agenda in the event set largely for Friday. And finally, in sports, Cristiano Ronaldo has broken the men's international appearance record by starting Portugal's Euro 2024 qualifier against Liechtenstein. Recall that Ronaldo made his international debut in 2003, and became the first man to score in 5 World Cups last year before Portugal lost to Morocco in the quarterfinal, and has won a number of 197th cap for his country. We'll have details of the stories and more in our news at 12. I am Mary Joseph. Let's head back to Rise and Shine, where we have Uyai and Francis on standby. Do have a wonderful morning.
Heads of state and government, Secretary General, delegates.
This was the Lagos Nigerian for Spectrum TV to recover 40 lives in Still counting.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the matters council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court,
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord. I think I'll
be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Business exists only to meet the needs of the people. But there's an extra advantage if your product and services are pitched on a platform that gives you the added advantage over your competitors. For your desired return on investment and so much more, advertise on Spectrum Television, on StarTime's DTH Channel 421 and on free-to-air with a frequency of 12733. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Glad to welcome you back to Rise and Shine. It's been quite an amazing time just being here, making sure we bring you up to speed with what is happening across the world. And of course, from the trending to the developing stories, which of course we've been taking over time. And we'll still be monitoring to make sure we bring you up to speed with these stories as they develop. Now, just before the break, these developing stories just keep developing. And one of the stories that has been on the media space for a long time now has been the issue of the former Senate president.
Over 8 weeks?
For over 8 weeks now. And then I'm sitting down and I'm looking at the Ikekweremadu's family, and I'm thinking of the implication of the court verdict on Nigeria, on the image of Nigeria. And I'm asking myself, how did we get here? How did Nigeria get to this point? Now, if we go to the social media streets, there are lots of different arguments that people have put forward. Yes, the court has ruled and have found Ekweremadu and his wife guilty. You're talking about a former Senate president. That is like the entirety of Nigeria's image is put out in the open space, and then we now have to consistently, bad enough, the image of the country had already been battered before now. Bad enough, what has just happened within our electoral system, bad enough that, just carrying the Nigerian passport is enough a condemnation for you across the borders, that you have to be searched extremely hard, even down to your panties, just because you happen to come from Nigeria. So I'm thinking what will happen to generations yet unborn. I'm thinking what will happen to hard-working Nigerians who are doing their earnest work and earning an honest living. I'm looking at what will happen to the average Nigerian who does not have anything to do with corruption, who does not have to do anything with criminal activities, but then will still be forced to go through these harsh punishment, these harsh experiences. Now, this is the video. And I'd just like for us to pay attention to this before coming back to this conversation.
Prosecutors said they plan a senior Nigerian politician, his wife, and a medical middleman have been convicted of trafficking a man to donate an organ. Prosecutors said they plan to remove the kidney of a 21-year-old Nigerian man so it could be given to their daughter who has a debilitating illness. The couple faced the first charges for organ trafficking under modern slavery laws. We're joined now by our Home Affairs correspondent, Tom Simons. Tom, an extraordinary case. Just bring us up to date.
Well, Ike Ekweremadu is a well-known political figure in Nigeria, a member of the Senate, a man with international connections. And when his daughter Sonia developed a debilitating kidney disease, he tried to do something about it. And what he did, according to this verdict, was get a middleman, a man called Dr. Obinna Obita, who was also a defendant, to find a donor in Nigeria. And Obita found a young man, 21 years old, in a Lagos street market. This man was brought to the UK, seemingly unaware of why he was coming to Britain. He was told that he would be given a better life, a job, and that sort of thing. And really the conspiracy only came to light as far as the victim of this exploitation was concerned, when he had meetings with doctors at the Royal Free Hospital in London, where this operation was due to go ahead in the private wing of that hospital. Now, the doctors became obvious.
Of course, that's a really, really big, judgment that we have on our hands right now. Over 8 weeks ago, of course, we heard that the former Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekweremadu, and his wife, Beatrice, had been arrested in the United Kingdom, and they had been alleged to be involved in an organ trafficking plot of a 21-year-old Nigerian. And of course, yesterday now news came out that the UK court has found them guilty, found Ike Ekweremadu, Beatrice Ike Ekweremadu, and the doctor who served as a middleman for the process to be done guilty. We do not have details of what the verdict is going to be yet, but it's serious, and the reactions are massive. Now the funny thing with this is that none of this would have been necessary if this was a straightforward kidney donation issue. But yes, it's more like it went through a criminal pathway. But there's a lot of reactions on tweets on Twitter, and we should take these reactions first of all, and then just give voice to what Nigerians are saying about this. So this is Dr. Pekin. Dr. Pekin says Ike Ekweremadu has been in the Senate since 2003, 20 years. He has been a deputy Senate president for 3 consecutive times, the 6th, 7th, and 8th Senate. If he had built a standard hospital in Enugu State, or at least influenced the federal government to do it, funny enough, he would have carried out, the medical procedure for his child here in Nigeria. And like we looked at earlier on, it might not have had to be anything criminal in the process of all of this. Let's take another tweet. That's Dr. Penkin. Lola Kunri says if Ike Ekweremadu had done that in Nigeria, DSS would have arrested all of us that tweeted against the bad act for cyberbullying. Ike would have won re-election. Nigerian police go down arrest victim for inciting the public, but Adupe, it didn't happen in Niger and one straight. Okay, yeah, that's an opinion there by a Nigerian.
Of course, Saint Violence, quite a funny name. It says he would have been bailed with 5 million naira, and that will be the end. They will only revisit his case if he dares contest for presidency. Meanwhile, the little boy would have been the one serving a jail term by now. Now, this is just what I am saying. Everything that happens in this country, everything that happens in Nigeria paints a very horrible image, like what has just been painted there. Now, Sir Odwe says, what goes around comes around. They refuse to fix Nigeria healthcare today. One of them is paying a heavy price. Senator Ike Ekweremadu, his wife, and a doctor has been found guilty of organ trafficking and harvesting to be sentenced. Okay, so that is Sir Odu. Going back to what I was just saying, all of these tweets, all of the reactions to these tweets just paints the picture of Nigeria. Okay? It goes down to paint a horrible picture about the Nigerian story, about the Nigerian situation. You're talking about, let's even look at the Senate, the former Deputy Senate President. As a Deputy Senate President, you're the President of the Senate. You work side by side with the President of the Senate. You work side by side with the federal government. You are right at the helms of affairs of ensuring that laws, legislations to better the different subsectors of Nigeria is put in place. But you didn't do that for how many years? 20 years. Now, we're talking about a government, a country that has enormous resources to put its medical structures in place. But over the years, consistently, we're talking about brain drain with our medical facilities, with our medical experts traveling outside the shores of Nigeria because our medical industry, our medical sector is nothing to write home about. And all we get from the government is lip service. We are going to do this, we are going to do that. And at the end of the day, nothing happens. Now, I'm not even going to justify the statement made by one of the tweets who said, okay, if he had done this in Nigeria, he probably would have gotten, gone scot-free with it. Yeah? There's also a likelihood in Nigeria that if he had done that, it would have had him arrested as well. Because organ trafficking, whether you like it or yes, is still a crime punishable in Nigeria.
Yeah.
But then, some cross-section of Nigerians would also argue that probably in Nigeria, the young man would not have had the boldness to stand his ground. Because you're talking about an ordinary citizen going against a strong political force.
Now, the thing is, while it is lawful to donate a kidney in the United Kingdom and in any country, in any other country like ours, for instance, it becomes criminal now in the United Kingdom if there is a reward of money other than material advantage. The prosecution said the victim was offered up to $8,600 and was promised opportunities in the UK for helping the Ekweremadu family. Now, during the trial, the prosecutor, Hugh Davids, described how Mr. Ekweremadu and his associate searched for potential donors among economically vulnerable people in Nigeria. this seems to be the problem therein, of course, searching for a donor for their child among economically vulnerable people in the country with right blood and genotype match, right? So now, once he was chosen, the victim, the said 21-year-old, believed he was undergoing medical tests as part of a visa application to work in London. He only realized what was going on when he met doctors in the United Kingdom. It was alleged that the defendants tried to convince medics by pretending the 21-year-old was a cousin of their daughter when they were not related. You know, so these are like some of the back ends to this story. And although it's not, you know, criminalized to donate, you know, kidneys in the United Kingdom, the processes that lead up to this is the problem. Funny enough, with this particular story, there are different sides to it. There are different kinds of incitements that can be made. But from the UK front and the judgment that was given yesterday, the UK court has found Ike Ekweremadu, his wife Beatrice, and the doctor culpable of, you know, a crime of organ trafficking.
Well, let's even look at the side of the law. Ike has been in the Senate. His duty has been to pass laws, to formulate laws, and ensure those laws are passed. Now, one would expect that he would have taken care to look at the laws of the United States. He would have taken care to look at the laws of the other countries to understand how it works and what is applicable. So, yes, you are trying to save your daughter's life, which by every standing, by all ramification, is a job of a father. We understand that. But what happened to following due process? What happens to understanding how the laws in other countries work and not got yourself involved in a situation like this? Because I'm sitting down and I'm looking, if this lawmaker had done due diligence of understanding the laws of other countries as far as this particular issue is concerned, he would have known how to go about it. And I won't even fall the scenario of going to look for a donor among the economically vulnerable. Because if you look at it, people who are well-made wouldn't want to donate their organs to the next person. Unless by close affiliations.
Is that not like, you know, using their financial, their economic position as an advantage to, you know, it's more like a mental play on their economic posture for you to get the kidney?
I'll beg to differ on that point.
Okay.
Now, let's look at it critically. Let's look at it holistically. I'm wealthy. And you're coming to me to donate my organ when I know I need both my organs to function. The possibility of me easily going to donate that to you and your daughter is very slim. But when I don't have a wherewithal and I'm looking for an escape, and then you're coming to me, donate this to my child, the possibility of someone at that level easily agreeing is very big.
But that's why it has become a case in the United Kingdom, because money, you know, was promised, and alleged making your life better in the United Kingdom was promised, and they're saying that's more like you selling the organ.
Well, if it was done properly, I don't understand the laws, and possibly we'll find a lawyer someday to help us understand this. But I'm looking at it from a human point of view. If I like to believe that if Ike Ekweremadu had told this child or this 21-year-old, who by the Nigerian constitution is an adult, if they had spoken to him honestly about what they want, what he was going to do or what they needed him for, spoken to his family about it, and had the consent of the family, had his consent, probably go into documentation of these consents giving. Video evidence and all of that, they wouldn't have gotten into the situation they have faced.
But then, Francis, what are the guarantees? Now the law is what the law is. We are not even trying to water down the severity of things.
No, not at all.
Not at all. But what is the guarantee that this conversation was not had plainly with the said defendants, with the 21-year-old? Because how do you hop on a plane and, you know, get to the point where your organs are going to be harvested, and as a 21-year-old, like you said, within the Nigerian constitution, you are an adult. You can think for yourself. You can grant permission or withhold permission for certain things to be done on you or for you, you know, in a constitution. How would you say that you traveled all the way, you know, and did not know that this was on ground? What did they put in their mouth to speak to you?
Well, it's very possible. How do people get trafficked out of the shores of Nigeria?
Promises of better life.
Promises of better life. So anybody can come and make those promises, and the young man would jump on it thinking, oh, I'm finally jackpying from Nigeria. I'm going to have a better life, be able to send dollars to my family without knowing the essence of being taken out of the shores of Nigeria. So there is that possibility of him being tricked into traveling out without knowing. But then again, if the due diligence was taken into consideration by the Kweremadus and their family and the family of the child, and so far I'm yet to see a statement coming from the family of the young man in question. So if this due diligence were done, Nigeria would have been spared this statue.
You know, just the way to rest this particular conversation, we are having this problem majorly because we continue to have politicians who go, I mean, Ike Ekweremadu served 20 years, you know, in our parliament, so to speak. 20 years is enough time for us to, like one of the tweets said, you know, build up quality hospitals across the nation that can handle these kinds of issues. Why are we still, you know, spending a lot of money on medical tourism? It is our political elites that are, you know, majorly fueling this kind of lifestyle. I mean, we just had a conversation, was it today or yesterday, where we had that already the president-elect has jetted out of the country for medical tourism. Okay, what kind of medical need does he really have that
cannot be sorted in Nigeria?
That even the medical center within Aso Rock cannot take care of? You know, what kind of medical situation do you have that, you know, our teaching hospitals within the country, if well equipped and well manned, cannot take care of? So this is, you know, for some Nigerians, this is, you know, what they have sown into the system, more like coming back to bite at them. Invest in the health sector of the country so that even the common man, you know, can have access to qualitative health care. But no, we want to continue to take out Nigerian money when you could use that money, pay tax to the system, and all of the millions you dole it out just to get and have these procedures taken outside of the country. You know, it's just really laughable at this time. And yet again, we are sitting on the edge of the fact that we have new people that have been elected into new positions. Some of them are coming into the Senate houses for the first round. I'm sure they are going to also attempt to do their 20 years. Some people have been forcefully retired by the advent of the new people that won seats in the Senate and other seats in this just concluded elections. But are you going to do better by the needs of the everyday Nigerian in this country? That is something that is left for the consciences of some of these people to answer. But as it stands, the UK court has found Ike Ekweremadu, wife, and the doctor that was involved in the case guilty of the alleged organ trafficking. Of course, we expect that this story will continue to develop, and we'll be here to bring you more details about things happening with that particular case. But at this point, we're going to be moving straight to our daily spotlight, where we bring you stories on the front pages of our national dailies. Do stay with us. Well, Daily Spotlight, front page of our national dailies. Let's start with Daily Sun this morning, the front page of the Daily Sun. And the very big story there says, aggrieved voters ask UK, US to sanction INEC boss and Rex. Electoral violence, intimidation, major drawback of Guba Assembly polls, says TMG. Ekweremadu wife awaits sentencing as UK court finds them guilty of organ trafficking. We also have here PDP suspends Fayose, Anyim, Shima, others, refers autumn to disciplinary committee, page 26. We also have here mock UTME. JAM to examine 176,408 candidates, page 27. Senate President, groups intensify campaign for Kalu Southeast, 28, page 28, so you can find the story. Joint fight against money laundering, corruption, EFCC urges professionals. Page 4 is where you can find that story. Queues to ease off as banks set to dispense enough Naira notes. Page 2. We have here Enugu Guba. Edelga rejects result. Heads for court. I won't run sectional government, says Mba. Page 28 is where you can find that story. Kiamo petitions TSS, demands Obi Baba Ahmed's arrest, trial for felony. EFCC, RCPC to respond in his suit against Atiku Abubakar. We have the last story here saying Oshun Adeleke Oyetola no fate today. That's a really big one. The Oshun case has been, lingering since the elections, and the fate is to be known today. So fingers crossed.
Well, definitely we'll still keep our fingers crossed as far as the stories are concerned. There'll still be development in the court case. And like we'd said just before the elections, we had anticipated there are going to be a lot of court litigations as far as the election is concerned. But we'll see how this play out and see if indeed the judiciary would be the last hope of the common man. But we move away from that to Nigerian Tribune. And on the Nigerian Tribune, we have as the big story, PDP suspend Fayese, Anyim, Shima, others, and refers Otum to National Disciplinary Committee for alleged anti-party activities. Otum won't appear before committee. Wike replies, PDP still part of that. Your tenure will soon be history in a matter of days, Fayese tells IU. You can find our story on page 3 of the Tribune newspaper. And still on the big story, we have UK courts fine Ekweremadu wife, doctor guilty of organ trafficking. You can find our story on page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. And of course, other stories still making the headlines, the rounds on the Nigerian Tribune. You find 2023 governorship poll, most violence-ridden elections in recent history. That is according to TMG, and that story is on page number 2. Train and bus accident, 77 passengers discharged. That's coming from Sanwo-Olu in Lagos State. Of course, you can find that on page 29. Alleged terrorism, Kogi Assembly suspend 9 members. Page 4 of the Nigerian Tribune. Still more stories on the Nigerian Tribune. Why controversy persists on CBN's Naira redesign. Why controversy persists on CBN's Naira redesign policy. ICANN. And of course, Okupe appeals conviction for receiving cash above permitted threshold. Okupe appeals conviction for receiving cash above permitted threshold. And of course, aggrieved parties filed 34 petitions before Lagos Ogun Election Tribunal. So many cases there. And KMO petitions DSS demands arrest of Obi Dati Ahmed over alleged inciting comments. Lagos identifies 394 distressed buildings. Okay, now this is something worth paying attention to. In recent times, we've been having a lot of building collapse in Lagos State and across the shores of Nigeria. So you're talking about 394 more buildings who might be collapsing anytime soon.
That's serious. Is that all you have on your paper?
Yeah, that's all we have on the papers.
Okay, so let's move to This Day newspaper now. We'll move to This Day newspaper at the front page of This Day, and the very big story there says Kiamo petitions DSS, wants political opponents charged with treason. Naira, okay, LP, you close your eyes to ethnic virtually attacks on non-Yorubas in Lagos by your party and its supporters. Says Obi's running mates, a free citizen. Group slams minister for preempting election tribunal. Naira scarcity. NECA urges NLC to shelve planned strike. CBN officials engage labor over picketing threat. NMDPRA unveils 6 regulations, moves against loading of liquids in unauthorized locations. PDP bears its fangs, suspends Fayose and others for anti-party activities. Ekweremadu, wife, doctor found guilty of organ trafficking in UK court. Convicted of conspiring to exploit man for his kidney under Modern Slavery Act. We also have here OT. I will clear backlog of Abia workers' salaries, pensions, arrears by December. We have a pictorial image there of Buhari receiving the Oba of Benin. And those are all the stories that we have on the front page of this day newspaper.
Well, definitely something on the These Days newspaper that caught my attention is the promise of OT to clear workers' salaries, pensions, and arrears backlog by December. And then probably if that should happen, that would be a giant landslide achievement for him within the first few months of his administration as the governor of Abia State.
Exactly.
Well, let's move away to the Nation's newspaper. Top of the headlines that we have, the major story there. PDP hit by post-poll crisis, and of course, the Wike tackles party over suspension of Fayose and Yim Shima, and of course, Otum, ex-Ekiti governor, reject action. It's contemptuous. Moving away from that, we talk about the Naira scarcity, where CBN begins allocation of more cash to banks, and that is coming on the heels of the planned nationwide protest by the NLC, which was built for next week, Wednesday. Still on the front papers of the Nation newspaper, we have a minister insists Nigeria Air will fly before May 29. And on the right there, you have tight security as Court of Appeal decides Adeleke's fate. That is on page 5 of the Nation newspaper. And of course, the insurance assets rises to 2.3 trillion naira. Yellow cards for owners of Lagos 349 derelict buildings. Still on the Lagos building issues, very much on the front page of the news, the Nation's newspaper. And a little mention of the UK interest rate, which has risen by 4.25% shortly after the UK bank's collapse. There's also a mention of Ekweremadu's wife, doctor, who has been found guilty for alleged organ trafficking and lots more. You can find a lot more on the front paper of the Nation News and then read them up for yourself.
Okay, so let's take our very last paper for this morning on Daily Spotlight, and that would be the Punch newspaper. The big story there says, old note circulation. CBN begins monitoring today. Banks set 2-week target. Okay. Few branches paid 20,000 naira over the counter. Target 500,000 naira withdrawal per customer. Order banks to revamp e-banking platforms. Reps tell CBN as queue persists. CBN meets labor leaders. NLC president insist on planned strike. 203 electoral offenders face trial in 20 states, says the Nigerian police. Federal government fixes May for airport concession. Nigeria Air, page 23. Organ trafficking. Ekweremadu wife risk 10-year jail term in the UK, page 15. We also have here Ramadan, Tinubu, Atiku. Governors pray for peace and unity. Fayose, Otham tackle PDP over suspension. Page 22. Tight security as court decides Adeleke Oyetola suit today. Appeal court decides Adeleke Oyetola's court suit today. Page 13. Labour Party SDP reject Enugu Ogun gubernatorial poll results. Page 22. And that's all the stories that we have on the front page of our national dailies for today. Serious matters being raised across the board. There are a lot of things that are matters of concern. At this point, we're just going to open up our phone lines and give Nigerians the opportunity to make contributions across all the conversations we've actually had today on Rise and Shine. If you've been following several conversations that we brought to you, but then again, we'll be looking at certain issues as have emanated from the front pages of our newspaper. And really big one now. This conversation has been, circulating for a couple of weeks and months now, but good news, CBN is starting monitoring today and making sure that money recirculates in the system. We hear that branches will be paying over 20,000 naira over the counter, and the target is for individuals to be able to get at least 500,000 naira. I think that's some progress from where we've been.
Well, I wouldn't be excited as a Nigerian. I wouldn't be celebrating at this point as a Nigerian until I see it happen. Until I see it happen. Until I see the bank queues reduced to nothing. Until I see
back to walk-in situations.
Exactly. Until I see everything return to normal, then I'll begin to celebrate. And then there's another question: why did the CBN have to wait for the labor to plan a strike? And on the side of the labor, what happened to the labor speaking up long before now? They had to wait up until now. They had to wait until Nigerians have died. They had to wait until there has been so much suffering. And yesterday I was just having a conversation with persons in the minibus, and someone raised a very funny, hilarious comment and said, why are the Labour people coming out now to speak? We've not heard of Labour. We've not heard of Labour for a long while now. So why are they coming out to speak? Could it be that kickbacks in the ministries and MDAs is not possible because people no longer have cash to go? Maybe you need somebody to help you do one thing or the other in government offices and you need to grease their palms for that to happen? Or could it be that I've looked at the situation where, okay, for everything somebody is now trying to do or give to you, it has to come to a transfer. So there is a likelihood of those transfers being traced to prove an issue of corruption or things like that happening. But can you blame that Nigerian for thinking from that point of view when Labour have been very quiet since the cash redesign policy came into existence? Now, the Labour that Nigerians knew would have spoken up long before now. And now they're speaking about the Naira cash policy. What happens to the fuel scarcity that is still being experienced across the respective states in Nigeria? So these are key issues that Nigerians want answers to. And I think it's about time the leaders take proactive measures, take proactive steps to respond to the different cries of Nigerians, to the different things bothering Nigerians.
Serious concerns there. Some of the conversations that have actually trolled the front pages of our national dailies is also this Festus Kiamo's petition to DSS demanding the arrest of Obi and Baba Ahmed over treasonable actions, and also the Kekwe Madu's case. So if you have any contributions to make across any of these matters that we have raised on the floor, Rise and Shine, now is the time for Nigerians to call in, make their contributions. Do not forget to send us WhatsApp or text messages if you're having difficulty reaching us on the phone lines. We'd also like to encourage you, please, when you place your call, remember to turn down the volume of your television set to avoid the hallback that we usually would have. Okay, we have a first call, and now let's take this particular call. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Dr. Becky. I call from Port Harcourt.
Okay, Dr. Becky, good to have you on the show this morning. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Thank you. I'm not surprised that at what Festus Keyame is doing. I think he's just exhibiting what we've been seeing in this country from SANS. You see, during Ibori's time, he had several charges in this country. And his case got to Supreme Court. At the end of the day, what happened? They declared him, free, and no single case was he indicted in. And what happened? When he left the shores of this country, what happened? The whole of those allegations, he agreed that they were, that he committed them. That is to show you the standard at which we operate on. It's very unfortunate that people in Lagos, we've been seeing the videos, we've been seeing their comments, they attack the Igbos just because they voted their brother. They attack the young man who was coming to become governor just because he's in Labour Party. His mother is an Igbo woman. His wife is an Igbo woman. They attacked the young man. They denied him his right as a full-fledged Yoruba man. But at the end of the day, let me tell you, my dear, in Abia State, one of the seats was won by a Yoruba man. Nobody complained about it. Take analysis of it. So what am I trying to say is that this country, not everything that answers san is san. Okay. And most of them are working for their belly. They don't even care the nemesis of what will come after effect of all these things they are doing just to destroy this country. Let Keyamo go and he asked the government before to go and arrest Atiku, and then now he's saying he should go and arrest Obi. Just to scare me, he says, "Son, let him go and arrest Obi and see what will happen to him."
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Becky, for calling us. Thank you for your contributions on the show this morning. Really big question. Are you working for justice or you're working for your stomach? What exactly is your drive when you are, pursuing some of these things? And Dr. Becky has even brought a really big reminder there. When it was time for the campaigns, like you rightly had said earlier on, it was a banter between Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC and then Atiku Abubakar, and it was more like, oh no, arrest this person has done this, arrest this person. At that time, you did not think that Peter Obi was much of a problem, so you did not push for an arrest warrant for him. But now the elections are done and dusted. You have found a way to say they are making insightful and treasonable activities. Now the DSS should go and arrest them. But yeah, Nigerians have their reactions. Nigerians have their thoughts about some of these activities that the likes of Kiyamo are putting forth in the polity of a country.
Well, it's a laughable scenario playing out there. And one thing that Dr. Becky has brought to the fore is another big questions and a hashtag that is possibly likely going to trend on Twitter anytime soon if we're not careful. Okay. And that is hashtag violence. Hashtag going back to the Lucky Tollgate kind of protest. Because one of the things, like Dr. Becker has just said, currently ongoing on Twitter, the big questions, the dare that Nigerians are daring, not just Festus KMO now, but also the DSS, is to go after Peter Obi and arrest him and then see what Nigerians would do.
Big issues there. All right. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Your
morning.
name and where you're calling from?
I'm calling from Kwara State.
Kwara State. What's your name?
My name is Coyote.
Coyote. All right, Coyote. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Please, I only want to urge our politicians that whenever such election was being conducted and things have been concluded, everybody has already signed that everything go on successfully. We should just allow the sleeping dog to continue sleeping, to lie down. The reason why is that when we continue doing all this kind of things, we know the situation where the country is presently. There are some other instruments that will be coming up in order to be protecting the effort of the government. So I'm urging my Honorable Peter Obi, he should give everything and leave everything for God. And let us team up together to continue the journey.
All right, thank you very much, Coyote. We really appreciate your call this morning from Kwara State. That Coyote is saying he would now side with those that have been announced as elect across board now to for those who quote unquote lost the elections, sheath your swords. Let's not try to raise more dust. Just accept who has been announced and let's go forward and try to put our hands together and work for the success of the country at this point. What do you think?
All right, now let's look at the scenarios playing out. Look at the names of the persons that have been announced across the respective states at the governorship elections, for instance. See the reactions from the people. From the reactions of the people, you would know who was the people's choice and who the people think have been imposed on them. Bring that out to the national elections, the presidential elections, and the Senate, the National Assembly elections. You will also see from the atmosphere across the Nigerian society, do Nigerians really believe they voted for Ahmed Bola Tinubu? And if they did, what happened to the fact that Nigerians didn't celebrate? So those are key questions that we need to ask. But let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yes, welcome to Rise and Shine. Your name and where you're calling from.
Please turn down the volume of your television set. It's getting in the way of our conversation with you. Turn it down and let's be able to have a smooth conversation.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I want to comment on the fact that Festus Keyamo asked for the arrest of Obi.
Sorry, you didn't tell us your name.
I'm Obi by name.
Obi, welcome. Go ahead.
Festus Keyamo, if I may ask, doesn't have the right to ask the DSS to arrest Obi. You get my point, right?
Go ahead. We're following.
Now, what am I trying to say in essence? Festus Keyamo, I don't know the position occupied in APC that makes him think he has the right to order DSS to arrest Obi and that thing. But let me put this clear to Nigerians. If that could happen, let's see the action of Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerians like me and you. Because I'm going to occupy the street of Nigeria that very day. Thank you.
All right, those are his thoughts. Obi calling from
River State.
River State,
now that is exactly what I was about driving to. That thought by Obi is shared by a lot of Nigerians on Twitter as of this morning. Festus Keyamo is asking for the arrest of Peter Obi and Dati Ahmed. Now, Nigerians, cross-section of Nigerians on social media are daring the DSS at this point to go after. And you know the situation that might likely play out if that ever happens.
The response.
All right, let's get to this call. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Rise and Shine.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Confidence Moses calling from Kaduna State.
All right, Confidence. Go ahead.
I would like to first of all begin by asking a question on the capacity of Festus Keyamo, because he's a government official and is expected to be to focus on the issues of governance. So he and other spokespersons of APC have been inciting in the build-up to the election. He is still spewing rubbish. In fact, he should be the one to be arrested, having known what played out in the rigged election that produces Tinubu as the INEC president. Our democracy is weeping. People of Nasarawa, Kaduna are weeping currently, all orchestrated by the dirty game of APC. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Confidence called us from Kaduna, and very concerning thoughts there being raised that people in Kaduna and Nasarawa are really suffering from the plight that they've experienced under the APC, and that's quite worrisome. He also made a statement that is funny. I think I haven't really heard anyone put it that way. He said Bola Ahmed Tinubu is our next president. Okay, that's a new one right there. So let's take this other call. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning, my dear sister and brother.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am Terence, calling from Benue State.
Terence from Benue State. Thank you for joining Rise and Shine. Let's hear your thoughts.
Yes, Keyamo, his call, to me personally, questions his qualification as a senior advocate of Nigeria. He doesn't even deserve to be a senior advocate. Because to me, I feel he doesn't know the meaning of treasonable felony. He doesn't know. He can't even define it for an ordinary person on the street. Looking at his past antecedents, he's a dirty person. When has it become an offense for one to seek redress in an election that has been clearly rigged? That is my take. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Terence. You are a person of questionable character yourself, and like our previous caller before Terence had said, the APC was majorly plagued with a lot of insightful statements during their campaigns upwards a few days before the gubernatorial elections, but then we did not see anyone pushing a petition for them to be arrested. We even had our forces defend them instead. So upon what right does it stand to push for this? All right, hello, you are the next on our line. Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from? we had that particular call dropped, but you know, Nigerians are calling in and making their contributions to this, and I think Kiamo's name has just rang the bell. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good
What's your
morning.
name? Where are you calling from? Your name is
Glory.
Glory. Okay.
Glory, how old are you? Hello, Glory. Okay,
Yeah, I
that
think
sounded
that's
like a
drop
voice
call.
of a baby.
It would be amazing to hear what a young lad wants to
What's
make
to
as
say?
contributions to, you know, some of this conversation. We've seen the tide move, you know, and come to the younger generation this last second. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Paul Tuchuku.
Okay, turn down the volume of television set, George, please. Drop call. Please remember to turn down the volume of your television set when you want to call us. Tell us your name and your phone number so we can have a smooth conversation with you. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling? Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, my name is Supreme, calling from Agor Palace Way, Lagos.
Lagos State. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I wanted to ask the position of Festus Keyamo coming to arrest P2B and the atrocity they committed. I live in Agor Palace Way. I know what happened during this presidential election and the governorship election. I think Festus Keyamo should be the one to arrest. We should go after Festus Keyamo and all APC members to arrest them. Even the INEC chairman, they need to go after him. That say they will conduct a credible election. We see nothing in this election, and I don't think there should be any election that should be held in Nigeria. And I even expect the military to take over this government because that should be the best way.
Well, those are your opinions, and we thank you for calling us this morning. You know, the thing with Festus Keyamo is that, you know, I don't think he doesn't have the right on his own to arrest, you know, Peter B. He's pushing a petition that the DSS, you know, the state security service should arrest Peter B. and Dati Ahmed Baba. Hello, good morning. Your name and where you are calling from.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am Mr. Kenneth Ogudorom, calling from Ogoja.
Okay, from Ogoja.
Welcome.
Yes.
Turn on the volume of your television set, please.
I am happy for what you people are doing in the studio.
Thank you. Please turn down the volume of your television set.
Okay. I am coming.
All right, go ahead.
Festus Keyamo, who is calling for the arrest of P2B, the call is not in the right direction. For Nigerians are needing healings at this point in time. Because if you look at the election and what has happened during the election time, Nigerians need to be healed for the ills being meted to voters at this point in time. And if you look at the call made by Keyamo, it's another call for civil disobedience in Nigeria, which will cause harm to Nigeria instead of healing the heart of the people that have been offended. Please, let's call a spade a spade. The Yorubas are the most enemies of the Igbos.
No, we will not take any kind of insightful statements. No, we can't take any kind of insightful statements against any ethnic group.
I am very sorry. They should be very careful. Instead of calling for healing, and reconciliation, they are calling for arrest.
All right, thank you very much. Your point has been made. We appreciate you for calling us on the show. It's very important that we do not attempt to pitch any ethnic group against the other when we make our calls. Like we'd always say, we have only one Nigeria. If you make it hot for another person, you don't have another place to run to, really.
And there's something we also have to note here, just as Peter has raised. The segregation during the last election in Lagos State was not just about the Igbos.
It wasn't just about the Igbos.
It was about everybody who is not voting against or for a particular political party, whether you were Igbo or Yoruba or Efiki Bibio, wherever or Robo. So it was not just a particular ethnic group that was being targeted.
So it's more like it went beyond just ethnicity. Now it was more like a particular party that attempted to seize power for themselves, because we had videos, you know, that came out of those elections saying if you're not voting for this particular party, then you cannot come in and vote. And that was the issue widespread. We had Yoruba people that couldn't vote. We had Benin people that were disenfranchised. So it goes beyond an ethnic group. Let's not try to heat up the polity. Okay, let's take this other conversation. Hello, good morning. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I'm calling from Bayelsa State.
Your name,
from
sir?
Delta State.
My name is Michael.
Michael, please, the volume of your television set is really high and it's getting in the way of a conversation. You're using phone. Okay, there's a whole back we are hearing. All right. Okay, thank you. Go back. Go ahead.
Okay. So, what I am trying to chip in is election. Election will come and they will say go, and the people will sit in. And I am very surprised when the election come and go, then people will be murmuring. If you lose, take it in good faith. If you win, all of us will be happy for you. I don't see the reason why the election should now turn to do or die affair. Unless I win, I will go to court. Unless I win, the people will not rest. For what now? Where are we heading to? We are not going to anywhere. It will not have any dividend.
All right, thank you very much. Your point has been clearly made, and that's the last call we can take for this morning. And he's also of the opinion that people who did not, make it at the polls should just go ahead and sheath their sword. There is no need for us to continue to drag the conversations and drag the country along. New people have been announced. Let us all just file up behind them and begin to work towards, a greater country. Most Nigerians are not of the same opinion, but some Nigerians are of the opinion that we can just move forward with the results that we've gotten out of these elections.
Well, as a Nigerian, I would have loved for us to move forward with the result of the elections. But then also as a Nigerian, I would ask myself, were the elections free, fair, credible, and conclusive across board?
Bryce Clifford would say, were they acceptable?
Exactly. So if they were not, then there is need for persons who feel they have been robbed of the people's mandate entrusted to them. It is in the spirit of justice, fairness, and equity for those group of persons to go through the legal process, which is the court, to seek redress and reclaim those mandates. The only way we can all get past this is when we have our electoral umpire being transparent, being able to conduct free, fair, credible, and of course conclusive election that is acceptable by all. Let's look at Abia State, for instance. We might not be seeing anybody heading to court, and even if that happens, it is still going to be dependent on the court to decide whether or not Oti remains the governor of Abia State.
All right.
But if you look at the expressions of the people, you would clearly see that this is the person majority of the Abians voted for. Have we seen that spread out across the different states of the Federation? No. So that is the thing. We need to also understand that in as much as we need to get right into governance, there is need for justice, fairness, equity to be established.
All right, okay. That's everything we can take for those serious conversations. Thank you to everyone who's called. But it's Lifestyle Friday, and we have a chance to bring you our tidbits for the day. So let's start with Did You Know? gifts have both Christian and pagan origins. Did you know that? Maybe you didn't. I just learned it. I don't even know why we'll be looking for the origin of giving gifts.
But it's very important.
It's
very important. And it's both ways. I mean, where did offering gift to deities and gods and all of that came from?
Definitely Christian and pagan. Now I get it. You're so wise. All right, let's take our health tip for today. It's more like that tip should have come like somewhere on the 30th of November, but then it's still good because we still have people that are going for vacation, you know, all those kind of occasions. We are saying if you're shopping for a holiday and all of those things, make sure that you shop for health related, you know,
food items.
Yeah. And any other items.
A lot of persons go for vacations or holiday vacations or weekend vacations. Yeah. So that persons who literally will be traveling this week.
There are people who are holidaying in the first half of the year.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
But please ensure that you have some healthy stuffs within your food basket, so you eat healthy while you're having that relaxing moment.
Right. Okay, let's do a quick run on what our recipe is. Today is Friday. What are you cooking? Tomorrow will be Saturday. What are you presenting to your family? Chicken pepper soup. Now, the whole summary I have for that is that on some days, all you need is a perfect bowl of chicken pepper soup. And in this weather, that is cold and rainy around here, it's just like if I step off here now, I should be welcomed with a bowl of chicken pepper soup. But then, let's take our quote of the day, and that's how we'll be bowing out from Rise and Shine sets today.
On a quote of today, you are never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. Malala Yousafzai, activist.
Yeah, you're never too old to set another goal or to dream a new dream. Today is a good day to rise and shine. Thank you so much to everyone who's been a part of Rise and Shine this whole week, and a special thanks to everyone who called in on the show today. You are the reason why Rise and Shine is banging. My name is Uyai, and Yeken, thanks a lot for being a part of the show today, and a big thank you to our production crew. Thank you for giving us a smooth sail. Definitely, we'll do this again next week.
And I am Frank Cizadet. Many thanks for being there. Do enjoy your weekend.
All right.